Who remembers summer 2024 when the entire basketball world was on fire over one question? Why was Caitlin Clark not getting the role many fans believe she deserved on the biggest stage in sports? It was not just a roster decision. It turned into a full-scale debate across social media, sports networks, and fan communities. Some called it strategy, others called it disrespect, but one thing was clear: the noise around USA basketball had never been this loud. And then came the pressure. Every game, every performance, every selection was being watched under a microscope. Because when a player like Clark rises with that level of attention, the expectations become unstoppable. But what made things even more intense was the rivalry storyline already building in the background. Fans were already comparing her impact with names like Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers, turning every discussion into a battle of narratives instead of just basketball. Then everything shifted, because when Team USA stepped back onto the international stage, the question was no longer about decisions made in the past. It became about proving something in real time. And what happened next did not just silence critics. It changed the entire conversation around who controls the game when pressure is at its highest. When the roster was finally confirmed, the debate did not slow down. It actually got louder. Every lineup decision was being analyzed frame by frame. Every substitution turned into a talking point, and every possession started feeling like a statement. And at the center of it all was Caitlin Clark stepping into a Team USA system that was already stacked with talent, experience, and established roles. But instead of being handed a clear path, she was placed in a situation that tested everything: patience, adaptability, and mentality. Coming off the bench in every game, the narrative outside started forming quickly. Critics questioned the role, fans debated fairness, and social media turned every minute. And alongside her were familiar names like Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers, turning what was once a rivalry narrative into something far more unpredictable: forced chemistry under global pressure. But the real question was still unanswered. Was this a supporting role situation, or was it the beginning of something much bigger that nobody was ready to admit yet? As the tournament progressed, the conversation started shifting from opinions to results, because what Caitlin Clark was doing in limited minutes was becoming impossible to ignore. She was not just fitting into the system, she was bending it. Game after game, she delivered control, tempo, and creation at a level that changed how Team USA operated offensively. Even without starting, she was consistently one of the most productive players on the floor. By the end of the run, the numbers told a story that critics could not easily dismiss. She helped lead the team to an undefeated stretch, delivered elite playmaking production, and still maintained scoring efficiency while sharing the floor with multiple high-usage stars. But the real shock was not just the stats. It was how quickly everything changed when she was on the court. The offense became more fluid, transition opportunities increased, and teammates like Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers suddenly looked more dangerous simply because the reads were coming faster and cleaner. And still, she was only playing around rotational minutes, which made the impact even more controversial. Because if this was the output in limited time, the questions started forming everywhere online. What happens when she gets full control of the game? The moment she checked into the game, the energy shifted instantly. No hesitation, no adjustment period, just immediate control of the tempo from the first possession. Caitlin Clark brings the ball up the floor, scans the defense, and within seconds you can see the entire structure of the offense change. Defenders start communicating louder, switching EA. She swings the ball, relocates, then gets it right back, and that is where the first real breakdown begins. A simple screen action forces the big to step up, and instead of forcing a tough shot, she reads it like it is already decided. A perfectly timed bounce pass splits the defense and finds her teammate right at the rim for an easy finish. No celebration, no reaction, just business. Next possession, same pressure, different outcome. She looks like she's going to attack, but instead absorbs the defense, keeps her dribble alive, and fires a quick read pass to the perimeter. Catch, set, shoot. And it is a clean three-pointer before the defense even resets. And then it happens again. Off-ball movement this time. curling from the corner, using a screen perfectly, relocating into space, and launching a deep shot that barely touches the net on its way through. At this point, it is not just scoring or passing anymore. It is control. Every possession she touches becomes structured chaos for the defense, because they cannot predict whether it will end in a shot, an assist, or a complete breakdown of coverage. And once that rhythm starts, it rarely stops. And this is where things start to feel unreal. Because the same names that were once part of heated debates and rivalry conversations were now sharing the same floor, wearing the same colors, and trying to win the same mission. Caitlin Clark now finds herself linking up with players like Angel Reese in situations nobody would have predicted a year ago. And yet, on the court, none of that outside history seems to matter. A simple high post entry turns into a power finish inside. Clark delivers the pass on time, on target, and Reese finishes through contact like it has been practiced for years. Then the roles flip. Reese sets a hard screen, creating just enough separation for Clark to rise into a clean perimeter look. No extra dribbles, no hesitation, just instant recognition and execution. And the same pattern repeats with Paige Bueckers. One moment, it is Clark creating off the dribble, drawing two defenders, and kicking out for a wide-open shot. The next moment, it is Bueckers collapsing the defense and finding Clark relocating into space for a rhythm three. What makes it even more dangerous is how quickly the chemistry develops. There are no long adjustments, no learning curve visible to the audience, just instant synchronization between elite-level guards and scorers. And slowly, the narrative begins to shift again, because what was once framed as rivalry tension is now turning into something far more concerning for opponents. Shared IQ, shared timing, and shared control of the game at the highest level of pressure. Now the game starts to break open, not because of one moment, but because of repeated pressure that never allows the defense to settle. Caitlin Clark pushes in transition, and you can see it immediately. The floor is always tilted in her direction. One rebound, one outlet, and suddenly the entire defense is sprinting backwards. She does not rush it. She waits. That split second of patience is what creates everything. A defender steps up too high. She threads a pass into the lane for an easy finish. Next possession, they collapse too early. She kicks out to the perimeter for a clean catch and shoot three. Then the pattern becomes predictable in the most dangerous way possible. Whatever the defense takes away, she takes something else. And when teammates like Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers start converting those same opportunities, the entire system becomes unstoppable. Fast breaks turn into guaranteed points. Half-court sets turn into mismatches. And every defensive rotation starts feeling one step too late. There's even a moment where pressure is applied at half-court. And instead of panicking, she breaks it with a low dribble move, escapes the trap, and immediately turns it into a scoring chance on the other end. It is no longer just offense. It is control of pace, control of spacing, and control of decision-making at every level of the floor. And that is when the gap becomes obvious. Not just skill gap, but processing speed, reaction time, and anticipation of what the defense is about to do before it even happens. At this point, the defense is no longer reacting with confidence. They are reacting with survival instincts. Because every possession with Caitlin Clark on the floor feels like a problem that does not have a clean answer. Give her space, and she shoots it from deep without hesitation. Press up too tight, and she has already passed the first line of defense. Switch late, and the ball has already gone to a cutter in motion. It becomes a constant cycle of punishment for every small mistake. And that is when the signature moments start to appear. A pull-up three off a simple screen, no wasted motion, just instant release. A step-back jumper when the defense thinks they have forced a tough shot. A no-look pass in transition that turns a broken play into an easy score. Everything looks simple, but nothing is actually simple to defend. And the most dangerous part is the confidence building in real time. Because every made shot increases spacing. Every assist increases teammate rhythm. Every run forces defenders into hesitation before they even commit. By now, Players like Angel Reese and Paige Buchers are not just benefiting from plays, they're actively feeding off the attention she draws every single possession. And when that kind of gravity exists on offense, the game stops being individual matchups. It becomes damage control. At this stage, the question is no longer whether she is impactful. The question is how long can any defense survive this kind of constant pressure before something finally breaks. By the end of it, the debate that once surrounded Caitlin Clark starts to fade into something much simpler: results. Because the numbers, the impact, and the momentum all point in the same direction. She changed the rhythm of every game she touched. An undefeated run on the international stage, consistent production in limited minutes, and a level of control that forced adjustment from opponents every time she stepped on the floor. Teammates like Angel Reese and Paige Buchers benefited from the spacing, timing, and attention she created, turning every possession into a high-efficiency opportunity rather than a forced attempt. And that is what makes the impact feel bigger than the box score. Because this was not just scoring, and it was not just passing. It was the ability to dictate how the game is played at every possession, regardless of role, minutes, or external narrative. What started as criticism and controversy slowly turned into validation through performance. And when the final whistle came, the message was already clear. The conversation was never about whether she could perform at the highest level. It was about how quickly she would force everyone else to adjust to it.